Welcome, dear viewers. Welcome to my YouTube page. I'm called Thomas Mjisha. Thomas Mjisha, I'm a medical clinic officer. I've done studies in philosophy, in social sciences, and I'm an African. Above all things, I'm a Mchiga, and I'm proud of that. Today, I am giving this simple message to you from Holistic Medical Services. I think you can see the logo that I'm putting on. Holistic Medical Services. Well, what do I bring to us today? I bring one of the thoughts of Joseph Omoregbe, who speaks of Africa philosophy, the philosophy of the African, yesterday and today, and for me, I don't say even tomorrow. Well, who is this Joseph Omoregbe? We shall get to know his background, and we shall also see what are the supportive arguments that he puts on board to support the African philosophy that was yesterday and that is there today. And we shall also look at a critique. We shall critique the thoughts of Omoregbe positively and also negatively to sieve out a message to you and me who are living the African philosophy today. Now, remember there were two thoughts in this notion. We have a group of thinkers, philosophers. Take an example of Hutonji, Pauline, who speaks of no philosophy in the Africans, meaning that there's no African philosophy. And then we have Leopold Senghor, who says, no, don't speak that. There is an African philosophy. And we shall go in and try to see what are these two persons able to tell us. What will Hutonji's side speak and what will Leopold Senghor's side speak to us? But let's look at the background of Omoregbe. Omoregbe is known as a Nigerian philosopher and he has authored so many works and over 21 publications that he has put across, where he has written in areas of ethics, areas of law, areas of philosophy, and areas of, even has spoken about the corruption that is smelling and that is lived evidently in Nigeria. Now, he was influenced by great men. I believe Senghor influenced Omoregbe, and also temples could have influenced Omoregbe in the upholding that Africans, when you look into their culture, look into their way of life, it possesses a lot of critical thinking. And even the behavior that Africans possess, the manner in which they live their lives, day by day, it is something that is worthy of reflection. It shows some sense of reflection. It shows some sense of critical thinking. And so, according to Omoregbe, through oral means, the African philosophy is able to be passed on from one generation to another generation. And for him, he calls for ethics, he calls for justice, he calls for fraternity in our communities as we relate with each other, to see able to sense reflectively that African philosophy, that ability to tease out the experience of human beings in this African context. And for him, I think Omoregbe was not impressed by certain persons from the West who came in with their colonization spirit, their attitudes, that they assumed themselves more supreme, more higher than the Africans that they had found on the African lands. And this was a dehumanizing spirit that for Omoregbe thinks this was not just, this was not ethical, and it could not meet the standards of fraternity. And I think Omoregbe was upset by thinkers like Thomas Hobbes, thinkers like Hegel, because according to these thinkers, Africans are in a state of mindlessness. We are just there without mind. And in fact, according to this Hegel and Thomas Hobbes, they believe that an African has no rational sense of being. And this is very bad. So for Omoregbe, he speaks out. He authors speaking as a humanitarian. And for him, he believes that even Africans can enjoy that natural intellectuality that was endowed to them by God the Creator. And this is very important. Let's look at number 2. What are those supportive arguments that Omoregbe puts across in support of Africans of a philosophy? He defines an African philosophy, and for him he says Africans' capacity to critically think on their experiences of life and experiences of their lived realities. And for him, this is what Omoregbe says. If an African is able to critically think about the realities that is experiencing day by day, then he is a philosopher. And according to Omoregbe, for him, a philosopher is that person who attempts to comprehend world's phenomena and also purposes of human existence, human living, and that person's capacity to comprehend the nature of the world and his capacity to check a place of a human person in this similar society that we are living in. So all these events, comprehending the world's phenomena, comprehending the purpose of human existence, comprehending the nature of the world, comprehending the place of the human person in the world, all these were done in the past by the Africans and they are still being done today, and the glory is being done as ability to think about this life that we are living in. And for him, according to that, then Africans were philosophers. Now, according to Anyanyua, who's a Nigerian also, I may spell this name because you might want to research more about this Nigerian. Is Anyanwu. I'm trying to say Anyanyua. Is for him, according to philosophy, is that which concerns itself with the way in which the African people of the past and present make sense of their destiny and the world in which they live in. So our capacity to get our surroundings, get concerned of our surroundings, and being able to look at the past and the present and tease out our destiny. And for him, this says this is real philosophy. Therefore, all the Africans, all the philosophers might agree with us that philosophy is a reflective activity. And if it is a reflective activity, how does this come and where does it come from? It comes from where? For him, it begins with philosophy, we begin with wonder. The moment we wonder about our own existence, the moment we wonder about these fundamental questions, then we are almost on the way to philosophizing. Now, Omoregbe presents us three steps in the philosophizing journey. Pay, pay keen attention of these three steps in the philosophizing journey by Omoregbe Joseph. Number one, he talks of wonder. He says man is able to wonder about himself. Man is able to wonder about his surroundings. Man is able to wonder about his lived experiences. And that's the first thing. And the moment he's able to wonder, is going to pose fundamental questions of his own existence, of his own origins, of his destiny. And this takes us to step number two, fundamental questions. And as we pose fundamental questions, we seek to find answers. And the moment we seek to find answers, then we enter into a reflective activity. We make reflections, hence philosophy. At that level, we can put our philosophy into writing, and we can say so and so is a an African philosopher. But has just put down notions, sayings, reflections of the past ancestors, the great African sages that we had of the past. Okay, so Africans did this, followed this sequence in the past. They are still following the sequence today, and they will still follow the sequence in the future. Though, Omoregbe acknowledges that the Africans do not have that habit of writing, and indeed, it is us, the current Africans, that we are able to put down our ancestors' great reflective activities, and then we shall pass on this African philosophy from the current generation of the 21st century to the next generations. Human experience can be individual, can be also according to our influence, according to our environment. When we look at the Greeks, for them they took the side of the objective approach to understand the human experiences. Now let's look at the cosmological understanding of the universe and the way these great Greeks were able to think more about the being, posing the fundamental questions about the cosmos that was at the time. And this was looking at the world, viewing the world in a physical sense, physically. And then when they started wondering, they posed fundamental questions and they were able to actively reflect. And then philosophy, we say, they were philosophers. Now, according to Joseph Omoregbe, human experiences, they are the sources of the reflective activity and hence philosophy. So we look at human experience, we wonder, we get a source of reflection, and when we reflect, we say we are philosophizing. Now, Africans, they believe in the experientia docet, and this is the experience as the best teacher. And what do they say? They believe that we have a history. The Africans have a history, and so they have an experience.